Now, Delta State Governor Sheriff Oborori and his predecessor Ifeanyi Okowa have formally been received into the All Progressives Congress following their defection from the opposition, People's Democratic Party, last week. Political analysts say the move is a historic one that could mark the collapse of PDP's 26-year dominance in the oil-rich state. Jemima Boloko reports.
In a dramatic political earthquake, Delta State Governor Sheriff Oborori and former Governor Ifeanyi Okowa officially crossed over to the ruling All Progressive Congress Party. Before a mammoth crowd at the cenotaph in Asaba, the Delta State capital, Vice President Kashim Shettima, APC National Chairman Abdullahi Ganduje, and other party heavyweights, including former Deputy Senate President Ovi Omar Agege, formally welcomed the defectors. Describing the move as a movement, not a defection, Oborori says the switch is fueled by what he calls President Bola Tinubu's organic love for Delta State.
You have come, I've seen, Mr. President, Vice President. What you have seen here today is a movement. It's not a defection. It's a movement. We have done consultation with the National Assembly, with leadership, with stakeholders at the state level, at the secretarial level, at the local government level, at the ward level. And we all decided.
Your Excellencies, Governor Sheriff Francis Orewodo Oborewori and former Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, and the other great men and women we welcome to the APC today. I bring with them the warm assurance of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR and all members of the APC. You are not just in this house, you are now co-owners.
APC, we believe in progressive ideas. We believe in proximity, interacting with different levels of our party. Now it is my honor and privilege to hand over this flag and our symbol, the broom, to this great man who has now come into our great party APC.
We are here to identify with him, and we are here also to assure the good people of Delta State that this decision is the wisest decision that will lift this state from where you are now to the next level.
All state lawmakers, local government chairmen and councillors joined the mass migration, collapsing the PDP's 26 years hold on the oil-rich state. Former governor and PDP vice presidential candidate Ifeanyi Okowa echoes the sentiment, calling it a bold, patriotic and necessary step to realign Delta's future with Abuja.
As I did tell people that day, it was not about me. It was not about the governor, but the fact that there is a need for us to connect to Abuja. That goodwill that is in Abuja, that resource that is in Abuja, of which Delta State is a large contributor, there was a need to connect to it.
The defection sends shockwaves across Nigeria's political landscape just 2 years before the pivotal 2027 elections. The people of Delta also react to this defection.
It's an irony for the governor to decamp no matter what happens. The possibility is that he will not go for second term. It doesn't matter because he was once a speaker and now a governor. So we cannot make Nigeria one party state where there's no opposition. It's wrong. I was totally against that decamping.
Because of the person that put him in that seat, move to APC. You now move to APC. For what? It's not good. You are not teaching us, you are not leading us in a good way. So that's the only thing. I let him go back to PDP. That's what we want.
With the Delta State stronghold and now under APC's control, attention shifts to how this realignment will reshape political strategies nationwide as 2027 elections draw closer. Jemima Boloko, Arise News, Asaba, Delta.
Well, for more on this defection of the leaders of the PDP in Delta State into the APC, we are now joined on the line from our Lagos studio by the Commissioner of Information as well as Rural Works in Delta State, Charles Aniagwu. Mr. Aniagwu, thanks for joining us on Daybreak.
Thank you very much, Charles. And good morning, Yolanda.
Good morning.
You're Charles, I'm Charles. Interesting. Now, ever since the run-up to the 2015 election, has any defection saga rocked the nation's political landscape as this one? Now, Delta State, much like the rest of the Niger Delta, has been a traditional PDP stronghold. So, what has suddenly changed?
What changed is that the taste of the palm wine changed, and there was a need for us to adjust the drinking pattern. There's a whole lot of development in the polity, and I'm very much aware that, Charles, you have also followed the development in our former party, the PDP. You know, we once told you that the PDP runs in our veins, but it has come to a time where we needed to have some form of diagnosis, and after that, the next thing is a prescription, as is done in medicine. And in that diagnosis, it became very, very clear that there was a need for us to ask for some level of blood transfusion. And so what is happening in our party in Abuja is a major issue why we needed to take that decision. Because if you are traveling to Lagos from Delta and you are coming by road, and along the line, the vehicle that is conveying you develops some fault, if it is possibly a punctured tire, you can just sit down and then get a vulcanizer and get it patched and then move on. But if along the line you discover that there is a major challenge with the brain boss and it's not something you anticipate you are going to fix, and you have a timeline to be able to get to Lagos, to be able to carry out whatever reason that made you to travel from Delta, it is expedient that you look for the next available viable vehicle for you to be able to also get to your destination and deliver those promises that you have made, in this case politically. Politics is about contesting election, winning election, and then governing the people. And so if you are in a place where it is not going to be easy for you to be able to realize that and continue with the developmental trajectory, then it is important that you take a decision. That's one. Secondly, the president, even while we were in the PDP, also showed us some form of organic love. He did not discriminate. And so navigating towards such a person is not something that is also very, very difficult. We understand the sentiments being expressed across the length and breadth of the Federation. We understand the concerns, but we have also been able to explain to our people, and that is what makes democracy tick. There was a very wide range consultation before this movement began. Like the governor clearly stated, it's a movement, it's not a defection. And that is why you could see that all segments of our former party, the PDP in Delta, that had sway for 26 years in our dear state, had to migrate into the All Progressive Congress, all still for the purpose of sustaining and indeed deepening developmental initiatives in our dear state. Charles.
Mr. Aniagwu, it's interesting that you make the analogy of the palm wine, which leads me to my next question. About 3 to 4 months ago, you said, and I quote, that it was wishful thinking and that Obovere is not in any way hungry to abandon the PDP. Now, my question is, in a later interview, you then likened a defection to moving to a new job. But we all know that when you move to a new job, you weigh the pros and the cons. And what I'd like to know, and I'm sure the viewers would like to know as well, is what are the pros that were seen that influenced this defection?
Before now, I used to hear people say that the only thing that is constant in life is change. But over time, I have also come to discover that there's something that's much more constant, and that is decision. Because even change itself is a product of decision. Why not every decision is a product of change? And so when you get to a certain point, for instance, if you are traveling and you get to a junction, which is why the Englishman that produced the vehicle decided to equip it with trafficator. The moment you get to a junction, it's either you are proceeding straight, or you're proceeding to the right, or possibly to the left, or even also decide to do a U-turn and go back to where you are coming from. Each time you take a decision whether to move to the right or to the left, or to proceed or turn back, there is something that must have triggered it. And each of them, I want to believe, for every reasonable human being, is for the purpose of getting to a destination and being able to achieve the goals that you have set for yourself. In Delta, in the last 2 years that Oborowori has been in the saddle, there has been a whole lot of developmental initiatives. We have recorded a whole lot of giant strides, and nobody is contesting that. And we have discovered that for us to be able to proceed along that trajectory, there was a need to also connect to the center, a center that have extended a whole lot of love to us, in addition to the fact that the vehicle that we were traveling with has developed some form of fault in the brain bus. And you know the essence of the brain bus in any vehicle. If at the National Working Committee we are not able to decipher what the leaders of the party are doing and how they are going about it, and possibly even define who they are working for, it is now very, very necessary that we have to take this decision, all for the purpose of sustaining the developmental initiatives and be able to deliver those promises we have made to our people. I listened to one of our brothers in the earlier report you played, who said it does not matter whether you didn't win the next election. When you have a goal, and you believe that for you to be able to deliver and score that goal, you need to change a player or possibly move into another club to become a star player, it behoves on that individual to take that decision as to whether to move to another club and realize those potentials that are quite inherent in that person. And so what has changed between when I told you that we were not thinking about moving is that because the first time we thought that it was just a puncture tire that we were experiencing in our vehicle, and we brought a vulcanizer along the line, we discovered that the problem is more than that of a puncture tire.
Mr.
And so
Aniagwu,
there was a need
you are giving
to
us
carry out
analogies.
further
Can you tell us in specific terms? Can you tell us in specific terms? Because what you're giving us is the analogy. Punctured tires, palm wine, damaged vehicle, football club. Tell us in specific terms why.
Charles, we are talking about the PDP being our vehicle. You have reported severally about the challenges at the National Working Committee of the party. You have severally made it clear that the party over time have continued to postpone the next meeting of the party not less than 4 times. All those postponements are different junctions where you had that flat tire, I'm telling you. But we thought that over time is something that can be solved, and we were also part of that idea of solving it. But along the line, it became quite clear that the challenges have become quite intractable. And you have reported this severally. Most of the challenges we had in the PDP, you even brought it to our doorsteps because most of us are not members of NEC. So even while we were in the party, you have continued to follow much more than those who are members of the party, the development in the party, and you have severally reported that that was posing a challenge. And so those are the issues, and I'm sure you understood them when I now liken it to the issue of a vehicle with a punctured tire. But coming back to the issues, why are we in government? We're in government for the purpose of advancing the livelihood of our people. We're in government to be able to give vent to the provision of Section 14, subsection 2, paragraph B of the 1999 Constitution, which makes it clear that the primary purpose of government is the security and welfare of the people. Are we doing that in Delta? To the best of my knowledge, the answer is yes. And I have not seen anybody who is contesting the fact that Oborowori is delivering on the promises he made. And if now you decide that for you to be able to deepen those promises, that there was the need to also connect with the center that have been very, very friendly and very, very organic in the love they are extending to us, I don't think that one should be sacrificed on the altar of sentiments or certain level of morality. We did not feel that the PDP should die, and not today, not tomorrow. We do hope that along the line, they are able to solve the challenges because, like you said, viable opposition is needed in any democratic setting. We do not hold anything against that. And let me also correct this impression of thinking that Nigeria is going to become a one-party state. That's not going to happen. Over time, individuals will now begin to also take certain decisions that makes them to be able to realize the goals that they may have set for themselves. So we have taken a decision, if you want me to put it very, very clearly now, and you don't want to go the way of analogy, to be able to advance the developmental initiative in our states. And we're quite convinced that consulting our people and carrying them along in this movement is going to deepen those developmental initiatives in Delta.
Thank you very much. So that brings me to my very next question, consulting the people and carrying them along. Before You took that decision. You did not consult them. You did not carry them along. So what about the people of Delta State, the people you are leading, the people whose interests you say you're protecting? How do they feel about this defection? Because from the interviews we did conduct, they don't approve of it. They've been faithful to PDP for 26 years, and then you change it all of a sudden. How are you expecting the people to feel about all this?
I will also give you another analogy. It does appear that, Charles, you have not followed through the processes that led to this movement. Every political party have organs, starting from the unit, to the ward, to the local government, to the federal constituency, and to the senatorial district, and then, of course, to the state. And all these organs of the party were carried along. It is through these different organs you are able to communicate to those other persons who are the mass of the membership of that political party. And all these persons, once they were consulted, we spoke to them. How did you think that the movement became possible? That no member of the House of Assembly, no member of the National Assembly, no member of the State Executive Council, none of the leaders of the party in the state, whether present or past, disagreed with this movement? If there was no consultation, you would have seen a whole lot of disagreement amongst the leaders of the party and a good number of the followers. But let me tell you why I said that we understand the concerns of a number of persons. If a child is born, he comes with blood that God gave to him or her.
Mr. Aniagwu, you are talking about the politicians and the political leaders, but I was actually making reference to the people themselves, not the politicians and their political leaders, the people of Delta themselves.
Charles, I hope you know that we are talking about. Charles, I hope you know that we are talking about a political party and not not another social organization.
You were the one who said
political
the
party
people
is
are
made
going
up
to
of
be
politicians.
consulted.
No, hold on. The people, politicians are also people. Political parties are made up of politicians. There are followers of these politicians. These politicians who are the leaders now communicate to these followers. When, for instance, even when you want to carry out some form of surgery in the hospital, you don't go about calling every member of your community. But there are key persons you consult who now later takes the message to other persons who are in the community. What we did in Delta is to discuss with every stakeholder. And thereafter, we proceeded to our local government levels. I'm sure you saw some of the pictures either in the social media or in some media outlets. From the local government level, leaders were also asked to proceed to the wards. From the wards, the information was also taken to the units. All these were communicated to the people. And if you saw what happened yesterday, I'm sure by the grace of God, you carried that life. You could discover that it was indeed a movement. All those individuals who came, who were dancing, it is not because they did not appreciate the fact that they used to have a different blood in their bloodstream, but they had come to understand that there is a need for us to carry out this blood transfusion. Painful as it is, that is necessary for us to be able to survive both in our political journey and in our developmental trajectory.
Okay, now speaking of the sentiments of the people, there's speculation that these defections may have been coerced by the APC. Now, is there any truth to that? You know, it was said that there were threats to bring in the EFCC if they did not comply. Can you please clarify on this?
Yolanda, that is not true. Secondly, it's not a defection, it's a movement. If it was a defection, you will see a few persons moving here and there, and that so everybody moved, because it became necessary for us to take that decision. I have made that very, very clear in my earlier remarks on this subject. Now, on the second aspect as to whether anybody was being coerced, those are the issues being raised by individuals who want to paint pictures that are at variance with reality. I have given to you the scenario on ground. Is it true that the vehicle we are in has developed some fault in the brain box? I am sure you know better than I do. We were in a vehicle, I have made it very, very clear, and that vehicle is the PDP. The PDP has been a good party for us. For 26 years, we brought a whole lot of developmental initiatives. So we do not have anything against the party. But for the fact that the intractable challenge at the headquarters of the party was capable of undermining our destination.
Now, sorry to cut you short.
Of what happened in Zamfara State in 2019.
But it actually says on the screen that the official defection to APC.
The banner says defection.
The banners in front of you say official defection to APC. So,
and you're saying it's a movement.
You are talking of a. Yes, you are talking of a banner You are talking of a banner. I am
Which is the
talking
theme
about
of the
what
event.
we, those who are involved, are telling you, giving the crowd.
Well, it does go.
Charles and Yolanda. I've not landed on the question she asked earlier.
Okay.
Go on.
I can tell you, nobody has coerced us. I also made it very clear earlier that at the root of medicine is diagnosis. For a doctor to come up with a prescription, he must carry out a diagnosis. We have carried out political diagnosis of the situation we found in our party, former party, the PDP, and it became necessary for us to take this prescription for the purpose of not only political survival, but for the purpose of delivering on the promises we have made to the people. I have also made it clear that the president himself has also shown a whole lot of organic love to Delta. Don't forget, every politics is local. We are discussing Delta State. And so the decision we have taken has nothing to do with whether EFCC is carrying out any investigation. And let me make it very, very clear. Statutorily, it is the responsibility of EFCC to investigate any petition. But the idea of now having to make a petition to become the fact that somebody has been convicted or somebody is guilty is, to say the least, not understanding the issues. Even if I wake up tomorrow, Charles, I write a petition that you did A, B, C, D, it behoves on the security agencies to investigate my claim. And that is what the EFCC is doing. We have been able to explain that issue that much. Nigerians should learn also, particularly the media, not how to intimidate the EFCC to proceed in a direction that is not legitimate. EFCC has a right to investigate every claim, every petition, but let's not make it that once there is a petition, it means that the individual is guilty. And so to begin to say that anybody used the EFCC to coerce anybody to move, that is, to say the least, very uncharitable. The number of persons that moved or that were involved in this movement, I am sure a majority of them do not have any issue with the EFCC.
All right.
And so let us make it very, very clear, Charles and Yolanda.
Point taken, Mr. Aniagwu. Okay, now, I would have thought that Delta State is very much stable. But then, you're talking about the crisis in the People's Democratic Party being responsible for your decision. How then has the internal crisis in the People's Democratic Party affected or impacted governance in Delta State?
Thank you very much, Charles. I was about giving you the example of Zamfara. In Delta State before now, the PDP was very, very stable. Even if we have gone into an election anytime, any day on the platform of the PDP in Delta, we will win and win very, very convincingly. So it's not about whether the PDP was weak. We were not weak in Delta. But the issue is that, like I told you, if you had a puncture tire, you mend it, bringing in a vulcanizer. But when it graduated to becoming the issue of brain balls, and those who are responsible for addressing the challenge of the brain balls tend not to be very, very serious about that issue, then it became necessary for us to take the decision that we took. In the case of Zamfara in 2019, for the records, let me remind you, the APC won overwhelmingly in that election, both from the governor to members of the House of Assembly as well as members of the National Assembly. But when the PDP proceeded to court in 2019, the court ruled that the foundation of their emergence as candidate of the APC was quite faulty. And as such, all of them were swept off. And so we have seen that what is happening at the national level, no matter how strong we are in Delta, is capable of undermining that strength in Delta and make that kind of Zamfara scenario to play out. And how can we just wake up and behave like a tree that is told that is going to be cut down at the junction? And that tree, rather than running because it does not have the capacity to run, decide to stay in one place. We are human beings. We are mobile. We have the capacity to be able to carry out some form of political diagnosis. And that is what we did. In carrying out that diagnosis, it became necessary that there was a need for us to come up with a prescription. And that prescription is to lead to survival of not only the political family in Delta, but also the need for the processes that were put in place to also say through process of governance. And so, if you are asking how is it affecting us, if every day the party is saying we are going to have a NEC meeting, and we prepare to see the outcome of the NEC meeting will not hold, and you continue to see such postponement, and our people are becoming very, very worried that this vehicle we are in is constantly breaking down. Do we need a soothsayer to advise us, particularly when there's another vehicle whose engines are functioning very well, for us to move from that particular vehicle and then join the one that is moving very smoothly, that will make it possible for us to deliver those things that we have put across to our people. So let us look at the issues.
Okay.
We are not happy. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, well, just to say thank you so very much for the explanation. You've made your point, and I also understand your interest in automotive engineering when you make those analogies, Charles.
Well, thank you for joining us, to the Commissioner of Information and Rural Works in Delta State, Charles Aniagwu.